Hey everyone, and welcome back to Real Talk Podcast. I am your host, Mia, and as always, I am here with my co-host, Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
Honestly, really good. Although today's topic is one that I think is going to make a lot of people feel very seen and maybe a little emotional.
Haha, yes. Today is one of those episodes where I think people are going to be listening and thinking, wait, how do they know exactly what I feel? Because today we are talking about something that sounds contradictory but is incredibly real. Why you feel alone in a crowd. That specific kind of loneliness that hits not when you are by yourself, but when you are surrounded by people, at a party, at a family gathering, with a group of friends, at work, surrounded but completely alone. We are getting into all of it today.
Yeah, and I think what makes this particular kind of loneliness so painful is that it does not make logical sense. You are not alone. There are people everywhere. So why does it feel like nobody actually sees you?
Why does it feel like nobody sees you? Okay, let us get into it. Jake, let us start with the feeling itself, because I think a lot of people have experienced this but never had words for it. Can you describe what it actually feels like to be lonely in a crowd?
Yeah, so it is this very specific feeling of being physically present, but emotionally invisible. Like you're in the room, you're having conversations, you're laughing at the right moments, you're saying the right things, but there's this glass wall between you and everyone else. You can see them, you can hear them, you can interact with them, but you're not really connecting with them, and nobody seems to notice. Everyone is having a great time, and you are standing in the middle of it all, feeling like a ghost.
Ah, the glass wall. That is such a perfect description. Like, you're right there, but somehow not really there at all.
Right. And the worst part is, you might be smiling and laughing on the outside while feeling completely hollow on the inside. And nobody knows because you've gotten so good at performing presence that people around you genuinely believe you're fine.
And then you go home and the loneliness hits even harder because you just spent hours around people and still feel completely empty.
Yeah, sometimes being around people and still feeling alone is lonelier than just being by yourself.
Okay, so where does this actually come from? Because I don't think people are just randomly built to feel disconnected. Something creates this. What do you think the root of it usually is?
So there are a few things happening. The first one is the difference between surface level interaction and genuine connection, because most social situations are built around surface level interaction. Small talk, polite conversation. How are you? Good, thanks. What have you been up to? Oh, that's great. And that kind of interaction can fill a room with noise, but it cannot fill the deeper human need to be truly known and understood by another person. So you can have 100 surface level conversations and still go home feeling completely unseen, because none of those conversations touched anything real.
So it's not the quantity of interaction that matters, it's the depth of it.
Always. One real conversation where someone genuinely sees you and you genuinely see them does more for loneliness than 50 polite exchanges ever could. And the tragedy is that most social environments are not designed for real conversations. They're designed for performance and pleasantries.
And nobody wants to be the person who suddenly gets deep at a party when everyone else is just trying to have fun.
Right? Hey, how you doing? Oh, actually, I've been feeling really disconnected from my sense of purpose lately, and I'm wondering if my relationships have the depth I actually need. Room goes silent.
Oh no! Instant party killer. Everyone slowly backs away.
So you just say, good, thanks, and how are you? And the cycle continues.
Okay, so what's the second root cause? Because I feel like there's more to this than just surface level conversation.
The second one is the mask, and almost everyone wears a mask to some degree in social situations. The version of yourself that you present to the world, the edited, filtered, socially acceptable version of you, is not your full self. And when you spend all your time in social settings showing only that version, you're never truly seen, because what people are connecting with is the mask, not the person underneath it.
Oh, that's so painful. Like the compliments and the warmth are all going to a version of you that's not really you, so it doesn't land the same way.
It can't land because deep down you know it's not real. You know they're responding to a performance, and real connection requires real exposure. You have to let someone see the unedited version of you to actually feel connected to them.
And that's terrifying for most people.
Genuinely, one of the most terrifying things a human being can do, show someone who you actually are and wait to see if they still want to be around you.
Wow, okay. Okay, let's talk about something specific, because I think there are different situations where this loneliness in a crowd hits differently. Like there's the party version, the family gathering version, the friend group version, the work version. Which one do you think is the most painful and why?
Okay, so I think the friend group version is the most painful because with strangers at a party, you can explain the disconnection away. Of course, I feel alone. I don't know anyone here. But when you feel alone in a group of people who are supposed to be your close friends, that hits differently because there's no easy explanation. These are your people. You chose them. They chose you. And yet you're sitting there in the middle of your own friend group, feeling like an outsider. And that specific loneliness carries a layer of shame with it, like something must be wrong with me if I can't even connect with my own friends.
Oh, the shame layer, because it feels like a personal failure, not just an uncomfortable feeling.
Right. And the family gathering version has its own specific flavor, because with family there's all this history and obligation and love, but sometimes the people you're genetically connected to are also the people who know you the least. Like you can be surrounded by family and feel like nobody in that room actually knows who you have become as a person. They know the child version of you, the expected version of you, but not the actual current real you.
Oh, the family gathering where everyone talks about the same things they always talk about, and nobody asks you anything real about your actual life.
Haha, exactly. How was your studies? How was your job? Are you eating enough? When are you getting married? And you sit there thinking, I've had an entire internal world happening this year, and nobody in this room has any idea.
Oh, the when are you getting married question. Every Indian family gathering without fail, every single time.
Without fail, like clockwork. You could be going through the most transformative period of your life, and the question is still, when are you getting married?
Okay, so let's talk about something that I think makes this whole thing worse in the modern world, social media. Because I feel like social media has created this illusion of connection that actually makes real loneliness worse. Like you have 500 followers and 200 likes, but you feel completely alone. What is happening there?
Okay, so social media gives you the appearance of connection without the substance of it. Like you can interact with hundreds of people every day through likes and comments and messages, and your brain registers that as social activity, but it's social activity that is almost entirely devoid of the things that actually make connection meaningful. Eye contact, physical presence, vulnerability, shared silence, the messy, unpredictable, real-time experience of actually being with another human being. So you're technically interacting constantly, but you're starving for real connection at the same time.
So, social media is like junk food for loneliness. It fills the space but doesn't actually nourish anything.
That's exactly what it is. And just like junk food, it can actually make the hunger worse over time. Because the more you substitute real connection with digital interaction, the more your capacity and your tolerance for real, vulnerable, messy human connection actually atrophies. It gets harder to be real with people when you've been performing for an audience for so long.
Oh, wow. So the more you use the substitute, the harder the real thing becomes.
Right. And then you go to an actual social situation and feel even more disconnected than before because you've been living behind a screen and now suddenly you have to be a real person in a real room with real people, and it feels overwhelming and unfamiliar.
That explains so much about why socializing feels harder than it used to for a lot of people, especially after the pandemic years.
The pandemic accelerated something that was already happening, digital connection replacing real connection, and we're all still figuring out how to come back from that.
Okay, I want to get into something that I think is really important and not talked about enough. The high-functioning, socially skilled person who's deeply lonely.
Because I think there's this assumption that lonely people are shy or introverted or socially awkward. But some of the loneliest people are actually the most socially skilled, the life of the party type. Why is that?
Okay, so this is such an important thing to name because social skill and genuine connection are not the same thing. Some people are incredibly skilled at performing connection. They know how to read a room, how to make people laugh, how to be charming and engaging and warm, and they can walk into any social situation and have everyone thinking they're having the best time. But that skill can become its own trap because the better you are at performing connection, the easier it is for people to believe you're fine, and the easier it is for you to convince yourself you're fine when you're not fine at all.
And then you go home and the loneliness hits even harder because you just spent hours around people and still feel completely empty.
So the mask fits so well that even you start believing it sometimes.
Right. And the life of the party person often has the most profound loneliness because they have learned to entertain people instead of connecting with them. Every interaction is a performance. Every room is a stage. And at the end of the night, when everyone goes home, they're left with this profound emptiness because they gave everyone a show, but nobody actually saw them.
Wow, they gave everyone a show, but nobody actually saw them. That is really sad, honestly.
It is. And if you recognize yourself in that description, I want you to know that your social skill is genuinely valuable, but it is not a substitute for the deeper thing you actually need. And at some point, you have to let someone past the performance.
Okay, so how do you actually start changing this? Because knowing you feel lonely in crowds is one thing, but actually doing something about it feels overwhelming. Where do you even start?
So the first thing is to get honest about what you actually need from your relationships versus what you have been settling for. Because a lot of people fill their social calendar with surface level interactions and then wonder why they still feel empty. Start asking yourself, after social situations, do I feel more energized or more drained? Do I feel more seen or more invisible? Because those answers will tell you a lot about which relationships and which environments are actually nourishing you and which ones are just filling time.
So start noticing how you actually feel after spending time with people, not just during it.
During is often performance mode. After is the truth. And the second thing is to start practicing small moments of real vulnerability with people you feel safe with. And I mean small. You do not have to pour your entire soul out to someone to create real connection. Sometimes it is as simple as saying, honestly, I've been feeling a bit off lately, instead of just, good, thanks. Or sharing something you genuinely find fascinating instead of just making small talk. Small moments of realness create the openings for real connection to happen.
So you don't have to go from zero to fully vulnerable overnight. Just small, honest moments.
Small, honest moments consistently. That is how trust is built. That is how real friendships form. Not in grand gestures, but in the accumulation of small moments where two people chose to be real with each other.
And the third thing?
The third thing is to actively create the conditions for depth, because depth doesn't usually happen in noisy, crowded party settings. It happens one-on-one, in quieter moments, over a long conversation where there's space for things to get real. So instead of only engaging in big group settings, seek out the one-on-one time with the people in your life who feel like they could be real connections. Go for a walk, have coffee. Create the environment where the mask can come off a little.
So be intentional about creating the right conditions instead of just hoping depth will happen spontaneously in the wrong environment.
Depth is rarely spontaneous. It's almost always created by choosing the right setting, the right person, and being willing to go first.
Being willing to go first. I love that. Okay, last question. For anyone listening right now who's sitting in the middle of their own life feeling completely alone, even though there are people all around them, who goes home after social situations feeling emptier than before, who wonders if they're just built differently or if something is wrong with them, what do you say to that person?
I would say nothing is wrong with you. What you're feeling is one of the most human experiences that exist, and the fact that it's not talked about enough doesn't mean you are alone in feeling it. You're not broken, you're not too much or too little. You're just someone who needs more than surface level, and that's not a flaw. That's actually a beautiful thing about you. You're wired for real connection, for depth, for the kind of relationships where you don't have to perform or edit yourself. And those relationships exist. They're not easy to find, and they take time to build, but they're out there. And the path to finding them starts with being willing to let one person, just one, see something real about you. Not everything, just something. And see what happens. Because most of the time, what happens is they say, "Me too." And that "me too" is the beginning of everything.
That me too is the beginning of everything. I genuinely got chills from that.
Haha, good chills, I hope.
The best kind of chills. Okay, everyone, that's a wrap on today's episode, Why You Feel Alone in a Crowd. And the biggest takeaway from today for me is this. Loneliness isn't about how many people are around you. It's about how deeply you are known by them. And being deeply known requires being willing to be deeply seen. That's scary, and it's worth it.
Stop performing presence. Start practicing realness. One small honest moment at a time.
That is so good. Okay, everyone, if today resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear this. And drop us a comment. Tell us when you've felt this way. We genuinely love hearing from you, and we read every single one.
Take care of yourselves, everyone, and let someone see you today. See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.